Hi, my name is Arnico Brown, and I have an organization called Ours. Ours is a 501c3, so it's a nonprofit organization. My organization has been in existence since December 26, 2019. I am the founder and co-executive director. I have a volunteer um, co-executive director. I've had three volunteers, and that's to help me with like launching my first project, which is the Rooted project that I received a grant from USCAN to do last year. My annual budget is way below $500,000. I access funding by word of mouth, things that people tell me about. I'm very new to this space as it relates to having my own organization. I don't know a lot about where to find grants related to the things that I want to do within my own organization. And as I continue to move in this space, I learned that you need to have experience, and you need to be well connected with individuals, um, not just Black people, but white people, because white people know a lot. And getting into the space, oftentimes I feel like it's seen as a competitive race. Um, and it seems as if you have to collaborate with a lot of people, um, or know the language. Um, I don't have a full time uh, staff person dedicated to learning about grants. I may learn about grants in the midst of a conversation with somebody else, or somebody else willing to help me. But being that I work full time for another organization while trying to build my own, um, I end up with very little time to actually do work within my own organization. So I'm learning that I need to hire people. Uh, Miss Ruth, thank you so much for being willing to represent ECHO, who is also a part of USCAN. I am, of course, Ernika, and I am one of the co-chairs for the Building Power from the Grassroots Up action team. And what we're doing is a case study. And I wanted to reach out to you guys because we're talking to organizations about like funding, access to funding, and wanted to get your perspective of what's going on.
Well, ECHO is an organization that was founded about 15, maybe somewhere between 15 and 20 years ago, because of the need for work in the community. And we started out, one of the first things I think we did was a campaign with Mississippi Power, or against Mississippi Power. Uh, we had I mean, maybe there are about, well, we had about, I'd say no more than 10 members when we began. I don't think it was even 10, come to think of it, um, that we that came together and began working in the community, uh, because we saw a need for it, and nothing, no, there was no other organization doing any kind of work. And so we just jumped in and began working without any money, really, with no funding. That came a lot later. We don't really employ anybody. We don't have that kind of money. We don't. Everybody, just about everybody working, we're just working free. We don't get paid. And we can pay if they're attending things. We pay, for gas mileage and stuff like that. But we don't pay a salary to anyone. We do all kinds of programs, a lot of it environment, but we also do health programs and education, and we do seminars on finance and things of that sort. But it's been a little curtailed since COVID, but these are the things we normally do.
How many volunteers do y'all have?
Well, it depends. Just normal stuff, we may not have over 8 or 9. But when we have activities that we need people, we call on some of our friends and they bring their, and a lot of other people come out to volunteer. So it's not what I want to say, it's not a quota that we are going to have, but when we are doing things, we can sometimes count on anywhere from 10 to 15 volunteers showing up to help do anything.
Yes, ma'am.
Do programs. If whatever the programs are, we can always count on other organizations. So we have a partnership with sorts, I want to say, maybe not a partnership, but we also, many of us belong to National Council of Negro Women. And so other organizations that we belong to, when there's something that ECHO needs to be done and we don't have enough people, we can always call on our partner organizations that we belong to help us.
How do you guys access funding or find out about funding for your organization?
We are not not hundreds of thousands of dollars of funding. We are not those people. We don't have $1 million or 500,000 or 600,000 or 400,000 or whatever. We do a lot of work, but we are not. We don't have that kind of funding to do it. A lot of what we do is through volunteers that help us, and through our members who do it voluntarily.
You have a full-time staff person dedicated to finding grants?
No.
Do you know how to write grants on behalf of your organization?
No. Okay.
And
I've only written one grant, and that was quite a while ago. We did get it, but I've never written another one.
And in your experience in writing that grant, how challenging was it to complete that grant application?
Since it was my first one, it was very challenging. And maybe that's why I didn't try another one. It was very challenging for me because I was, I guess because I was not, had never thought about writing a grant before and never thought about what all went into it, how the plan and all of that, and what I hope to achieve by it and everything. So it was a little bit challenging, but.
Do you personally know grant funders that support your work?
No, I don't personally know them.
Okay.
Well, what should I say personally? Yeah, well, one group I do. One group I know real well, out of New Orleans. So yes, but that's only one group that I really know.
And how do you think funding is for Black-led organizations versus funding for Big Greens, which are mostly white-led organizations?
Well, now we have tried to apply for a grant not too long ago that they invited us to apply for. After they invited us to apply for it, then when we applied, they said we didn't have enough already. We didn't have enough money for them to give us the grant. That didn't make a lot of sense to me, but the grant was for that we were trying to get was for $250,000, and it was a health grant that would have other, where medical and other people would assist us and help. Nurse practitioner, we had a nurse practitioner on board, and we had some other social worker type people on board with us. I had a mental health worker who was going to work with us. And they said that we didn't have enough money for them to give us the $250,000 grant, which didn't make a lot of sense, because if we had $250,000, maybe we wouldn't have needed that grant. We would have been able to do the work we were doing. But I think that, I don't know, maybe they look at it like you don't have if you don't have that much money that you're going to use it for your own or something. I'm not sure what that thinking was, but I don't think, I think they tend to, small groups, and maybe especially Black groups don't seem to be able to access any of the money, or any money of any sufficient amount. We get small grants like 20,000 or 15,000 or some 10,000, small little stuff. None of the $200,000 or $300,000 grants or the $1 million grants. We don't get any of those. We just get those small stuff.
What I've seen in asking these questions, a common theme is that a lot of BIPOC led organizations, specifically Black-led organizations, don't have access to the funding, or like larger funding, to your point, like the $250,000, the $500,000, the multi-year funding, any of that. And which is why we are doing this case study, to see the common themes around.
Mm-hmm. And we don't get the kind of funding that we could hire somebody to do anything yet. So, we keep trying, but, and then the problem that for me was, when you tell somebody to apply for it, I'm assuming you already know we're a small organization, but we do a lot of work. But then when we apply, you say you can't give it to us because we don't have that much in our budget already. That doesn't make a lot of sense. I had to at 300,000, maybe I wouldn't even be applying to you. I could be doing the work that I'm trying to do.
Legacy here throughout the city of Petersburg, and I also was here taking it all in as well. Coming here with Mr. Fauntleroy, the former mayor, the first Black African-American mayor of Petersburg, Herman's Fauntleroy, which is really he was the one that charged me to say, I need you to get involved and run the city council and help serve me in the community, because your people need you. And I need you all. And we're working on this thing together. And thanks to Queen Shabazz, I'm here to read a proclamation on behalf of the city of Petersburg. And it states, whereas the United Service Organization was created 81 years ago by President Franklin D. Roosevelt, initiative to maintain morale among soldiers. And whereas in 1942, the Byrne Street USO was constructed in Petersburg, Virginia, to offer social and recreational services for African-American colored troops and their families during World War II, and continued to be used as a USO until 1963. Whereas thereafter, the USO remained in use as a community, civic, and gentlemen's club that came to be known as the Bow 20 Club, as you see above. And whereas the Bow 20 Club had as a charter member the Honorable Herman's Edward Fauntleroy, who served 20 years on the Petersburg City Council, and then became the first African-American mayor of Petersburg, as well the first in the state of Virginia. Whereas today, the USO building has been renovated and retrofitted to be turned into the state's first solar power resiliency hub that will provide communities community members with emergency refuge during power outages, green job certifications, workforce development, and other resources to aid in economic sustainability. And whereas the 464 Byrne Street building was formally dedicated on December 15, 1942, enlarged and rededicated in 1943, and today, in its 80th year, The building is dedicated yet again as UPAL's Community Resiliency Hub to serve the Heights community and continuing to exemplify the determination of our colored troops who persevered and triumphed in the face of adversity as they dared for a better tomorrow. And whereas on December 10th, 2020 and March 17th, 2022, respectively, the Department of Historic Resources has found the Burn Street USO building eligible and has listed it on the Virginia Landmark and National Register of Historic Places. Whereas United Parents Against Lead and Virginia Environmental Justice Collaborative have interrupted the cycle of erasure through the historic preservation of a piece of history that is intricate to our culture and speaks to appreciating all the lives and the loss of those who fought for a country that has not fought for theirs. And now, therefore, I, Mayor Samuel Barron, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the city of Petersburg, to hereby proclaim today, April 30th, 2022, as Community Resilience Day in the city of Petersburg. And we urge all of you, all citizens, to be moving, all citizens, to be moving, to participate in ceremonies and activities that honor the past, the present, and the future military service men and women in the attainment of freedom, justice, equity, and self-determination that is deserved by all. Signed by myself, Samuel Curran, and the Clerk of Council, Ms. Nakisha Jackson.
Every year, thousands of Americans have their lives cut short due to air pollution.
Right now, over 40% of Americans are living in areas with air that is unhealthy.
And it is communities of color and low-income communities that are disproportionately impacted by poor air quality.
It's time we stop compromising on what we breathe.
Because healthy air is healthcare.
Join us on February 17th and 18th from noon to 1:30 p.m.
to learn about the issues surrounding air pollution.
Connect with others working on this issue.
And to learn how to train other activists.
You can be the change you want to see. Join us.
Join us.
Join us.
Join us.
Join us.
Join us.
Join us to learn.
Join us to lead.
Join us to stand up for your community.
Together, we will breathe again.
That tagline or that very clear messaging of healthy air is healthcare is so profound and something that as our voices become unified and we understand the local to the regional to the national issues, we can come together as a movement to really spread that understanding of healthcare. Healthy air is healthcare. How we message around this, that healthy air is healthcare is really a message based in love. I often talk about the work that we do around justice and equity, diversity, inclusion, for climate justice, for creation care, is that it really is a What I Love campaign for the love of this world. So
Women in Faith, it's been a joy and privilege to be part of this collaborative, recognizing that there's so many different gifts and skill sets and assets of the respective organizations. And instead of working in silos, doing our work, we came together for a common goal, right? Integrating climate justice and air pollution and racial and economic equity and justice as well. And thinking about, well, let's vision together what's possible. What can we do to bring our strengths and not thinking only at the national level, which we did, but even at the state level, right? So.
And at the end of the day, it is really about caring for community, isn't it? It's really about us coming together and taking the tools and the skills that we have and using those to make sure that those that don't have the same skills and the same voice and the same tools or access to the same tools that we have access through us. And so being able to come together to use these materials to advocate, not only to our communities, but also to those who make decisions on behalf of our community, such as our legislators and other officials. Being able to educate them with the materials that we have has been a blessing as well.
Yes, and it's amazing how we're able to all come together. Some people are good at graphics, some people are good at writing, some people are good at relationships, and it all weaves together and makes us all stronger and what we're doing better.
And something I've been really grateful for is the continued momentum that we've seen. So, we launched this event in February and had a great train the trainer, and I think sparked a lot of interest. And now to be able to continue that work with the postcard campaign that we're taking to our senators and to our governors, to be able to show folks that this is not just a one-time thing that we talk about, but to be able to actually act on the things that we talked about in the initial Train the Trainer event, and to be able to continue the advocacy that we started that day when we did our phone to action, but to be able to continue that with the postcard campaign. I hope to be able to continue doing more of that throughout the year.
That the changes that we're making and the things that we're doing are like long lasting. So we have a toolkit that we created that people will be able to access the resources from, long after, for years from today. And we're creating these training sessions and programs and educational programs where people can learn skills that they can take to then use in their own communities.
Right? So the power of the Breathe Again Collaborative really came from how the organizations came together to work together. We utilized our strengths. We brought our collective voice together to unify a message. We amplified actions by designing them together and creating it with the buy-in of all 7 organizations that could help really push those materials, those actions, that information out to their constituent group. And we really just worked in synergy with one another in a way that I haven't experienced in any other collaboration previous to this.
I think it's been really great to watch this come together and then get to see United Women in Faith and other groups take on the training that you all did in February and do it in their own context, and getting to see that kind of spread and grow just from one event and now into the postcard campaign has been really great to witness and to watch the movement just keep moving forward.
It's been like, what can we do to make a difference? And we all just go ahead and go out there and do it.
I think this collaborative grant really aligns with USCAN's theory of change, where we build relationships with one another in the movement. We strengthen those relationships. We have a common vision, and we work towards together in that work and effort.
Yeah, I think being able to collaborate across states, across the country is really powerful in building a movement like this. So, I think sometimes we get so in the nitty gritty of our own work and what's happening locally, but being able to take a bigger picture and talking about an issue that is very much affecting us nationally and globally, and being able to say, here we are, a couple of IPLs across the Southeast working with ECA and United Women of Faith that work across the state or across the country as well, and being able to know that the impact that we're making is not just at a local level, but being able to see how we are acting in many states across the country and how we're each able to take this message to our own communities, but that it's a broader message. I think there's a lot of power in that.
One interesting thing that I just thought of is when we had our Breathe Again workshops,
And we asked on our registration form for people to identify which, if any, organizations they would like to continue hearing from. And there was a lot of interest in organizations other than their own, and organizations in different parts of the country than, for Alabama, there were people in California who were interested in hearing from other organizations. So I think it's kind of opened up some eyes to the fact that, oh, it's not just my community, it's everywhere, and there's a lot of support for this. So, and I appreciate having worked with you all on this project. It's been fun. It's not been like work, it's been fun.